previously on Ballz.
If I can just take you through the Gordon Igesund scenario this week. It's been an absolutely fascinating week for South African football on and off the field. On Sunday, obviously. Must-win game against Ethiopia. Came out roaring. Bernard Parker scores the first goal. Within seconds of that, Neal gets on the end of another great chance, some great football. We nearly made it 2-0. South Africa well on top. Ethiopia pull a goal back with Ntete and Tawa Matoho trying to re-establish their centre-back pairing. Conceding a bit of ball watching, I thought, conceding the equaliser just on half-time. We moved into the second half and South Africa having to win. Gavin threw everything forward. In a stadium that I don't think I've seen a stadium as excitable and as full as that since there were some games in the early 80s.
It's Gordon.
And then came the own goal from Bernard Parker, and now we've got Gordon Igesund on the line. Gordon, I'm just explaining to my listeners the epic happenings on Sunday. Gordon, welcome to the show. It's a new show, and Gordon, it's a privilege to have you on Bollockz today.
Thanks very much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Gordon, I was just saying to the listeners about how the game went. I felt that South Africa actually deserved to win that game. Second half, the early 20 minutes, we were all over them, and then the bizarre.
It was one of those situations where, unfortunately for us, that since the time I've joined here, we've had to win every single game, and this was no different. In the World Cup qualifiers, and we did a fantastic game against Central African Republic. We beat them 3-0. And we went to go play against Ethiopia, of course, in high spirits. The players were on top of their game, very motivated, all ready for this game, and played very, very well. And there was an absolute freak goal that Bernard Parker scored in OG that cost us at the end of the day. But having said that, I was very, very happy with the performance of the players. You can't get more out of these players. They're giving everything. They play with a lot of passion. They play with a lot of commitment. There's a lot of attitude. And more importantly, is we're starting to get an identity now, and we're playing a certain way of football that people are appreciating, and it's also very effective for us.
Gordon, that's the thing, that in the build-up, in the week before, everything coming out of the camp was so positive. I mean, obviously, when you travel north in Africa, there are occasionally obstacles kind of put in your way that we talked about before the Central African Republic game in the Cameroon. But it went so smoothly. You judged it right. You stayed in Yaoundé at kind of mild altitude. What was it, 900 meters? Then into Addis Ababa, bang, and it all looked so good until, like I say, an own goal that you can't legislate for. But then, Gordon, if we can just come briefly to the interaction between us after that game, where both you and I found that FIFA directive saying that Ethiopia had fielded an ineligible player. I mean, did that come as a complete shock to you?
Well, it did come as a shock because I know that before every single game, the match commissioner will tell the opposition, we go to a pre-match meeting, and we sit down there, and the match commissioner would look at the kit we played and what colour kit they play in, and then he would say to the opposition, you have this player who is eligible to play. He has got a suspension. He's been suspended on these 2 games, and he can't play. So that definitely was done at the team meetings, and they chose to play the player. So I don't know why they chose to play the player, but that's not our business. That's their business. But of course, it's thrown us off line now, and we're not getting too excited about it. They are going to be, there's no doubt about it, they've admitted they did it, and there was a blunder somewhere along the line, but that's all their business. The bottom line is, if they get deducted the 3 points, we still got a bit of a shot because of the fact that we need to play against Botswana and beat them, and if they draw or lose to Ethiopia, we can still go through. But I've also heard this morning that there's another thing happening now with the same team regarding our game. But I don't talk too much about that at the moment because I'm not too familiar with it. But apparently I was told that the player still has to serve a suspension. That was a punishment he got, the country got for fielding a player that was eligible, and he was punished. The country was punished by deducting 3 points. Yeah. But the player still not served his suspension, and he played against us as well. So he still had to serve his suspension. The suspension it's very clear that when you get 2 yellow cards, you have to miss out the game. And so far, this player hasn't missed out a game. But like I said, at this stage, I'm not even worried about that stuff. This is not our department. This is the department of the Ethiopian Football Association and FIFA. And we'll just hear what sanctions they're going to be taking against the team, if any, and what are. So all we can do really is sit back and wait to hear what's really going to be happening there.
Absolutely, Gordon. This Minyahel Tishomi Beyene, we spoke after the game when I got hold of you to try and sort out this mess that Ethiopia have got themselves in. A mess described by their Vice President Gebede as one of the gravest mistakes of my life. I will take that to the grave with me. Ethiopians absolutely furious about their football federation letting them down on this. I then looked through the team sheet and I couldn't find this lad in the team sheet against South Africa. When I went back in to the FIFA official website, looked up the team, he played against South Africa until the 70th minute. I then spoke to Danny. I spoke to Danny Jordan yesterday. I had lunch with Danny yesterday, and I said to him, "Well, you can't take 6 points off a team that have, already been docked 3 points for him for a one-match ban." And Danny Jordan, who's run a World Cup, who's big on Safa, who knows his football backwards, and he knows the politics of football, he said to me, Gordon, yesterday, he said, if this guy played when he hadn't served his ban, he is suspended until he serves his ban. There is a possibility of a 6-point deduction that would then see Bafana go through, even if you lose, you would go through. But like you say, we can't, let's not move on to the 6-point penalty at this point. Let's stick with the 3 points. You go out against Botswana knowing that goal difference and not head-to-head is what matters here. And a win against Botswana of any kind will then put you through.
Yeah, that's the way it is right now. And you're quite right, Neil. We don't want to jump ahead of ourselves. As I said, nothing to do with us. But there are rules and regulations, and they are clear, that the player has to serve a suspension. And the way it is right now, he will have to serve his suspension the next game they play against Car.
That's
and
right.
That means he has served his suspension. Any other sanctions that the association takes on the country will be a punishment of not abiding by the rules and being, not respecting the rules. It doesn't mean that a player can play, and if he gets caught out, they'll just lose the point. He has to miss out a game. But as I say, this is not our rules. This is what we're hearing, and we're hearing lots of stories. And as time goes on, but from our point of view, from the South African Football Association point of view, and from the Bafana team, we've heard about all these situations are going on, and quite right, we're not getting excited about it. We'll wait for whatever happens. And, there's always surprises in football, so let's see.
That's right. Gordon, as far as I can see, and I was talking about this with a few people this week, people quite well placed in CAF, do Ethiopia have any reason to demand a neutral venue against the Central African Republic, or will they have to play in Bangui, the notorious stronghold of the Central African Republic, which makes it a much more difficult game?
Yeah, look, I think in our case was a little bit different, Neil, because of the fact that the human side of life came into the equation when we had to play against Car. Because you must remember, we lost about 13 or 15 or 18 of our soldiers who were trying to make peace in the country. They lost their lives there. And to put us in a situation where we had to go play in Central African Republic, knowing that we lost our loved ones there and our brothers there, wasn't a very good situation for football. It would have been an intimidating situation, and it would have been. I don't think it would have been great for football. And I think the decision that was made by FIFA and by CAF that this game has to be moved, and I think it was moved more on the grounds of the human side, where we had lost a lot of people there, and for us to go and play a match where we lost our loved ones wouldn't be a good situation. And at that stage, the country wasn't really in a stable condition either. It was just getting over a few situations. Now, Ethiopia didn't go lose soldiers there, and there's no tie to that kind of thing. And if the country is back to normal and everything is fine, I'm sure they will play there, But as I say, from our point of view, we've got no control over that. And if they play on a neutral ground, good luck to them. If they play in Car, then they're going to play in Car, So I think it's totally two different situations.
I'm kind of looking at it, Gordon, only from an outsider's point of view, and thinking that I'd much rather not play in Bangui if I was Ethiopia, and I'm sure we're agreed on that.
Yeah, look, I think that is one stadium that nobody goes to. They beat. If you look at the record, you'll see they beat Nigeria, they beat Egypt. They haven't lost a game there, for a few years now. They're
right.
very, 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 very difficult to play there. So if I was the Ethiopians, I would fight tooth and nail to play on a neutral ground. But that's not our choice. That they've got to sort their own lives out, and CAF and FIFA will decide where the venue's going to be.
Well, I got the quote I got from the EFF yesterday was that they would have to play wherever Central African Republic wants them to play, and that will be quite an interesting decision. Gordon, you come back here. Obviously, we thought we hadn't qualified. We may now still have a slight chance or a big chance, depending what FIFA do. But looking forward to that Botswana game, whatever happens. Can you say where it might take place on September the 6th, and whether you'll bring any new faces into the side, or will you stick with the tried and trusted to try and beat the Zebras?
Well, we want to have continuity. We are building something here at the national team, and at this stage of the game, we've had a lot of injuries. Going into the car game and the Ethiopian game, we had maybe 7 or 8 injuries to a lot of players. For example, Matlaba, Sangweni, Morgan Gill, Gaka. That's only 4, but there were 8 of them, So, we'll see what the situation is. But obviously, I'll pick the strongest team available. I don't like to swap and change all the time. We've got the tournament, the COSAFA Cup coming up now, where I want to put in a couple of youngsters and try and build for the way forward and take it from there. But we need to continue winning games. We need to make sure that our rankings in world football can get to a much more respectable position. I believe that we should, without any doubt, be in the top 20 or top 15 in the world and be in the top 3 in Africa. And to do this, we need to win games. We need to have our strongest team all the time. I think at the moment, what I'm very pleased about is the atmosphere in South Africa is very, very good. There's a new vibe about the national team, which is very, very important. There's a new belief in the national team. And we want to continue with doing this, and want to continue building and continue growing. We've had some tough times. We were thrown into a situation where we had to do well in the African Cup of Nations, which wasn't easy. And then, of course, the World Cup qualified. But there's been huge strides made by the players in the respect of they play with a passion, they play with a commitment, they play with a great attitude. You can see they're proud to represent South Africa, and we play a good brand of football. It's going to be very difficult for teams to beat us. So far, everything's going quite nicely. The good news is the fact that this could happen now. So we've got another bite of the cherry, hopefully. So let's take it as it comes.
Brilliant, Gordon. I mean, you know what I think about the way Bafana have come on since then. And the very best of luck against Botswana. The best of luck over the next couple of weeks. September the 6th is D-Day.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, as I say, we've got some great games coming up, and the nice thing is this game is going to mean something again. Previously the way it was before this fiasco, it was we were out of the competition. Now we've got a little bit of hope again, and it keeps everybody alive. So it's magic.
Brilliant, Gordon. That's the thing. A little bit of hope, better than no hope at all. Thank you, Gordon Igesund, talking on Bollockz today. Thanks, Gordon.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, mate. That's Gordon.
There we go. That's the show.
Mate, he's had such a hard time, that man, and he's come through it with a lot of credit, I think. But people know I think that. Thank you for Bollockz. My first Bollockz dropped on air today with a lot of help from Darren Scott.
Nice show, Neal.
Anyone listening to this can tell how Darren has had to hold my hand as we get through our first
to hold your bollocks.
Pair of Bollockz. Yes, That's the one.
This is Ballz Visual Radio. Darren, Simon, Kate and John. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Ballz.co.za